Okay, welcome back, everybody. We have Maria Rocha, right? Am I
Yes, that was good.
We have Maria on. I'm not going to be able to say it the whole time. I'm not going to be able to roll my R the whole time.
You tried. That's good. That's
good. Like, as a kid, I can remember like rolling the R's being like a rare thing that that we could do. And I was like, I can roll an R easily. So anyway, thanks for letting me use that skill.
Of course.
But Maria came on. She's going to tell us a little bit about where her team has grown and where she has grown as a person, both family and through the business as real estate. And honestly, for those of you who don't know, like, my intent of the podcast is simply to create a better agent lender experience in the marketplace. I think that people get a little too set in their ways. They aren't open-minded about working with agent from another brokerage or agent in a certain market. And I want to have these conversations to just shed light on agents from two different brokerages talking about the real estate market, how they handle their clients, how they treat their clients, and best practices they've found in their business. So maybe you'll be able to pull out a little bit of marketing, pull out a little bit of branding, pull out a little bit of customer service on what Maria does for her clients and builds her team. And she did warn me. She said she usually turns interviews around and does an interview on the interviewer. And so we'll see, and we'll watch out for that. But Maria, before we get into like the realtor real estate stuff, like, who were you before real estate?
Oh, thank you, Darson. Who was I before real estate? So I'm going on my 8th year now of real estate. Time flies. Awesome. What do they say? Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
But before that, I actually worked. I started working when I was 14. And my first job that was hiring 14-year-olds was Hyvee grocery store. So
it's either Hyvee or Fairway.
Yeah, literally, I was about to say.
One of the two.
Every client I talked to, they either started there. But I started working with them when I was 14. And I've always just wanted to work my way up. Like, I loved working on, like, I would get bored easily. So I started off with, putting stuff in the grocery bags, and then the cashier, and then I went to customer service, and then I went to the merchandise department, then accounting. So I was literally doing everything, and I liked it because I'm like, I wanted to keep learning. So I ended up going to their corporate office right before joining real estate. I was there for about 4 years in their communication department. So everything customer service. I was the one picking up the phone calls when people would call to complain.
Yeah. Did anyone call nice? Like, customer service for Hyvee?
Yeah, they were ruthless. I think the emails were even worse because they could really just say anything and everything. But no, I was there for about 4 more years. And then from there, I noticed like I just couldn't keep moving up. I was like, my growth just completely stopped.
So when you were growing, were you pushing that, or was your management seeing you and saying, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or were you like, hey, let me do that. Let me do that. How'd that go?
Yeah, no, when I was working at the store, I feel like I was the one wanting to keep doing more. So I would always be like, oh, there's a new position open. I would just, naturally, I was just really good at what I did. Yeah. So they would allow me that first option to get there. And then when they opened it up to the corporate office, I was like, yeah, like, I didn't know what a CEO was or anything like that, but I'm like, I want to be that person. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just moving one step further. But when I got to corporate, it was a whole nother world, at least for me. And I had I had a good manager at the time that kept seeing me wanting to grow more and more. And he kept pushing me until he literally was like, hey, this is the top of where you're going to be at. And I was like, no. And so that's when I started searching other things that I wanted to do.
Interesting. So they didn't that's so fascinating. That's a good management lesson. Like, when you have an employee that keeps wanting more, find something more for them.
Exactly.
Right? Like, he could have, there has to be something of like, okay, go shadow this department. This will add that would at least satisfy you. Interesting. Right.
And I feel like there is where I was like, okay, do you really just, it's about who you know? Because I was seeing other people get in positions and I'm like, I'm more qualified than them. And I think that's what started like not encourage me to do more. And I was bilingual at the time, so I would handle both the English and Spanish community. And I think at one point I was like, you know what, I'm worthy for more, like there has to be more out there. And that's what made my mind start digging into other stuff.
So you like Googled it? Like that's how you found real estate?
You know what? Yes. I literally went into Google. It like helped me determine what route I needed to go. Cause one of the things growing up was like that we didn't have a lot of was money. And so my parents would work 2 jobs. They were never home. It just felt like they were working paycheck to paycheck. And so I told myself, you know what, if I find a job where I make a lot of money, then I could see my parents or I could spend more time with them. And so I literally went to Google. I was like, what jobs make a lot of money? And I loved helping people because I did love the customer service side of things. And it helped people. And at first it said like a CPA. And I was like, okay. So I went back to school. I started doing a first CPA. And when I did not know how tough that exam is or whatever it was. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think I like numbers as much as I thought I was going to.
I like people better than numbers.
Yeah, I think I like people better than numbers. And so I was like, nah. And I stopped. I went back to Google. I was like, okay, what's another job? And that's when real estate came about. And at the time, I watched a lot of like the HGTV stuff. Yeah. And so they talked about like, you know, you just buy a house, you flip it, and you make all this money. And I was like, well, how hard could this be? Like, they're doing it. Yep. So I signed up for real estate. At the time, there was only one agent that I knew that was a real estate agent and that was helping a lot of the Latino community. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm thinking of becoming an agent. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about the process? We met. He explained to me all the opportunities, like everything, and I was like, okay, I'm in. And that's when everything started. Yeah.
Okay. And then first step into real estate, what did that look like?
First step. So at the time I had a car payment. I was probably 22 when I started. No, 23, going on 24. And I lived with my parents, and then I had a car payment. So I was like, I can't just jump in right away. And I remember my mentor at the time told me to save 6 months of reserves. So I was like, okay, that would just be, I need to work X amount of months to be able to come up with that amount. So I ended up switching to night shifts at Hyvee. So I was working 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then I would go into the office from 9 a.m. to like
into the real estate office.
Into the real estate office. And that was me for like 6 months until I became like a walking zombie at one point. But I just had a vision and I had to finish it up. And then April 1st of 2017 is when I went full time.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And then so now fast forward to that, and maybe we can get into some of the learning and what you did. But like, where are you at right now? What's your structure look like, or your team?
Yeah, so right now we have, I have a team called Team Ella. I have 2 other business partners, Rocio and Mariana as well, that we ended up deciding to partnering up. And ultimately, like at first we didn't really know what this was going to be. We were just like, we're just going to help each other, form a community collaboration, hire a admin to handle all of our stuff. And we were just going to continue helping other people. But then we're like, wait, well, what's the fun in that? Like, how can we collaborate more? Because we had agents reaching out like, hey, are you hiring anybody on your team? And at the time, we didn't want a team. It was just going to be us 3. And we had so much like agents coming on, like new agents that were like, hey, I'm getting my license. Like, will you guys coach? So we're like, like this would be really cool. One, to continue challenging ourselves as leaders, you know, and also just staying on top of the real estate world and everything. We saw the opportunity. So we just started bringing people along. We grew from us 3 to like 15, and we're going on our 2nd year of the team. So right now we have 10 people on our team, and then we have an admin that handles all of our TC client care stuff.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that. Okay. One of the premises of the podcast is like working with agents, right? And so you've, when you're starting out, what was your perception of another real estate agent, and how's that changed now that you've been doing it for 8 years and you have a team of 10 others?
Yeah, when I first started, I thought it was like everyone did real estate the same way. Like, I'm like, every agent, they all, you know, have the same level of service. They all, you know, have the systems in place. They all do all the follow-ups. But no, it was like everyone did everything like on their own. Like there was no structure, I felt like, with a lot of agents. And I was blessed to be able to be a part of a team that had systems in place, you know, that for me to be the person I am today. But I realized real quick that not everyone does real estate the same.
Yeah. How did that relay into communication with agent to agent? So what did you notice? What were the trends that you saw? Why did you think when you went and started your own, like, why are systems important for communication wise?
Yeah, I think because most real estate agents, I feel like they're good at sales, right? They're good at being out there, getting business, closing deals. They're 20%. But their other side of the things where it's like all the paperwork, all the administrative stuff, like if they didn't have a system in place, it was chaos. We never heard from them throughout the whole process. We would just hear from them probably like a week before closing to make sure everything was good to go. Yeah, it's like it was just chaos. And so for us on our end that did have those systems in place, it was hard to provide a good customer experience without having any information to rely back.
Yeah.
Like if everything's good, are we in line? And so for me, it was like it was additional work that I felt like I needed to do.
To figure out. Mm-hmm. Interesting. How about with the lenders? What communication or like what? How about this? When you work with a lender, mm-hmm. at what point do you know that it's a lender that's gonna be a good piece to the transaction, a good partner on the transaction?
I think the first thing is if your values align. I feel like I have a high level of like the client experience that I want to make sure we provide to our clients. So if they also feel that same way and their values are there, I think is definitely key. The other thing is, you know, at first I felt like I needed to work with a lot of lenders and have like so many options available. But honestly, like I feel like my top lenders, like they have their set of realtors that they work with. They don't have to work with everyone. They just have those core realtors that they'll be able to take care of. And I think that was important because one thing that I feel like I've observed was like the lender side, at least they really sucked at the following up. It was like us following up with them, like, hey, how did you reach out to this client? How did it go? Do we have a plan? Like, do they know that? And so it was, for me, it's like, does that lender have that team to be able to support, you know, the growth that you're wanting to do?
So your struggle with the lenders was you would send them a lead, a buyer that you got that wasn't necessarily pre-qualified, and then you wouldn't hear from either the buyer or the lender.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes. And so we all know usually when a buyer reaches out, they're on this like high. We explain it as like a roller coaster, right? They're like going up. They're feeling that adrenaline, like I'm ready to buy a house. I'm so excited. Like you're telling me there's hope, or you're telling me there's programs available. And so if they take too long, they've already gone down the roller coaster and now it's not even there, you know? And I think that's the part where we want to capture them and continue that. And
each like conversation is almost a higher step in the roller coaster. It's a roller coaster that doesn't have a peak until communication stops.
Exactly.
Interesting. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, it's how I see it.
Yeah. Do you explain that to your client? Like, does your clients as you have buyer interviews or whatnot, buyer onboarding?
Explain to them what?
Like the emotional high that they're on. Like, how do you communicate that to them?
Yeah, I think I use it more on like the coaching side with our agents. Like when they do talk to clients, try to keep them up in that roller coaster, especially even with negotiations, right? Like sometimes when they're or showing homes, like we got to get them back to their motivation, get them up into that high roller coaster because they'll act with emotion. And so that's where we want them to be. But with our clients, we try to just set the expectations or just literally set up the appointment with the lender and us there to keep that momentum going. And I think that's one thing our team does very well is we're all very charismatic and we love like just having fun. And we try to have that with our clients too, you know.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Mentioning fun, how do you mix fun and business, and make sure that because you can get too fun and not make money.
Oh, for sure.
And you can be too business and not have any fun.
Yeah, sure.
Like how's that work?
Yeah, I'm like, I think there was a point in our career where we had too much fun, and that was all we were doing. That's a good question. I think have a good balance now of like when to have fun and then also when to get down to business. And so we wear different hats every time we talk to a client too, or even within our team. Like, hey, okay, let's put our business hat on and talk about like what needs to be done, because then we can go and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. How do you know it's business time?
How do you know it's business time? We like to get business like over with when we first begin, and then we'll have
so like fun. Start of the day.
Yes.
It isn't like a number that gets triggered that you're like, oh shoot, now we have to actually talk about business.
No,
it's a time of the calendar.
Yes. And then if we talk about like making sure our team is on track to reach our goals, we have systems with like, we review with leadership, like, hey, where are we at? Mm-hmm. Are we behind? Are we on track? So that way we can sit down and actually have those conversations about
with the agents.
With the agents.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. You guys have a super unique team. There's not very many teams that have 3 leaders.
You know what? Yeah. That's our competitive advantage.
Well, like, tell me how that works.
Yeah.
Like, how is it, like, communication wise?
Yep. So that, I love that topic because it's been a growth journey for all 3 of us, because it's 3 different minds and 3 different thoughts, 3 different ideas, and 3 different ways of doing things. But we ultimately end up like doing everything on our own, but it's the same, like, what do you call it? We get there differently, but to the same target, if that makes sense.
Same.
And so one of the biggest things we had to go through this past year is just really understanding each one of us. So who we are, what gets us motivated, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and having those open conversations around like, okay, I know you're not the greatest at this, but you are really great at this. So how about that's what we focus on? Because before it was complete chaos. Like we were doing everything, all of us doing the same thing over and over again. And we weren't really focusing on like, the different perspectives of business, the sales, the leadership, the operations side. And so we've gotten so much better, and we've gotten to understand each one a lot more and see like our motivators. So it was tough at first.
Yeah.
1,000%. But I think we've gotten great coaches, we've gotten great mentors, and we're all 3 of us, I feel like, are full of wanting to grow, that growth mindset. So we're continuously working on ourselves and self-development and all that.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question on like self-development wise. Yeah. Agents, did you go to the IAR convention this weekend?
I didn't.
Or this week?
No.
Last week. So it was full. Like I was very surprised. Just with all of the stuff going on and the whatever news of the commissions and stuff, I was surprised that it was so full, one. And secondly, I was surprised how little it was talked about. The commission lawsuits and what, like, I was very surprised with how little, which I loved because I'm sick of it. Mm-hmm. But self-development wise, it was not that, like, the speakers were not that crazy good. Okay. Like they were good, but they were like, it's what we all hear if you do any of your own self-development. Okay. So like, what do you do for self-development? Is it paid sources? Is it personal? Is it like YouTube videos, podcasts? Where do you see the best fit for your personal development?
For me, I would say, our coach has been huge on self-development, and he's focused so much with us on that because he wants us to really understand what actually drives us to make sure that we're moving the needle. And so we've taken assessments to really understand who we are, because sometimes, like, you've probably taken taken them all. Right? And it's really interesting to see like why you do the things that you do and how you do it. Mm-hmm. And how can you be more purposeful and mindful of like, okay, I know I do things this way, but now how can I be more efficient in getting things done? So like for me, one of the biggest things I learned was I'm a huge, individualistic. However, I'm really good having that hat on when it's my personal business. Okay. But when I'm a business owner, I got to think about everyone else's, like my business partner's mindset as well. Not just, well, what am I going to get in for it? Or what am I going to do? It's like, ultimately, what is the ultimate goal? Yeah. And so I think without me knowing that and being more aware of that, like, I don't know if it would have worked. It's like,
destined for failure.
Exactly. Yep. And so I think a lot of that and having someone to really hold you accountable And also just like we've been reading a lot of leadership books. So the 5 levels of leadership, 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yep.
Have you read that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've read all, like, for me to remember them though. I don't remember them.
Yeah, those. And then, you know what I feel like is always nice to catch up on is just like the conventions worldwide, like everywhere. So we have like EXPCon coming up. We had the NAREP, so the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, just staying connected and continued like reaching out to other agents, what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
I feel like has helped.
Yeah. It's funny. Like we have that option nationally, but no one locally.
Oh,
right? Like, could you, I don't say nobody, but it seems like it's always like, what are people doing not in our city? Right? Let's learn from someone not in our city. And when in reality, like, there are people in our city that are doing like a lot of good things.
absolutely.
So that's another piece of this podcast. So, what do you, like, back to the client wise, what is something that you or your team, like a process that you put in place to make sure your clients are like it's Aya, sorry.
Yep.
Are like, they're our go-to realtor. Like, cause we all know the stats of like 87% of people say that they will use the same realtor when they go to sell their house that they used to buy, but 12% do.
Right.
So like, what do you guys do to just love on them? What do you guys,
Yeah, so we've implemented this year specifically like client events and pop buys. So 36 touch is what we call it. So 4 big client events and then 8 smaller ones. And we've been also targeting our top 50. So not necessarily just past clients. It's like, who are those 5 to 100 people that are literally will say your name when you're not there, that are your biggest supporters, always send you, if that's referrals, if that's just shouting you out on social media, like who are those specifically for each one of our agents and for us. And we've been just reaching out to them because ultimately that's who we need to be taking care of because they're taking care of us. Yeah.
So you guys do that for not only your guys' business, but also all the agents. And that's been like a pillar.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. That, and then we hired a TC to handle that client experience and ask for those referrals during the process as well.
Cool. Speaking of the team structure, you have one admin, or is the TC in addition to the admin?
The TC admin, same
TC
person.
Admin. So that's one admin staff for 10 agents.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
So agents are clearly doing some of their own admin work.
So we had 2. We had a virtual assistant prior to that. And then we brought somebody in person because we wanted somebody there at the office when clients stop by and walk-ins and all that. And that one person, I think the key here is who you hire and are they in the right position. So our TC is amazing. Like she keeps us on our toes. And I think that has been the biggest thing about hiring the right person. Yeah. But at the most, like as a team, the most transaction we've had in a month has been around 30. Yeah. And that was pretty like kind of her cap. Yeah. So our goal is to, obviously once we continue that, and hire another admin down the road because that could be chaos too.
That's cool. So your agents manage their own 36 touches then?
So we'll have, we have a CRM. Yeah. And so we'll have in there like auto plans that they can apply. So that way they know they have structure on who to call.
Cool. Mm-hmm. That's fun. You've built that system in to support, instead of having the admin basically run it for them.
Yes.
Cool.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. What else about your guys' business is something that you'd love to like brag about or tell others, even if they copy, because I don't think there's actual competition. So that's my philosophy.
No, I love it. I think I am right with that. I feel like there's enough business for everyone. Whoever wants it, it's out there. You just have to go get it, What's another thing? I would say, honestly, our coaching right now with our agents, because there's 3 of us, we divide and conquer a lot. So we have one agent specifically on the coaching side that's all she's doing, one-on-ones with our agents to make sure they're on track. And then also we have the marketing side of things. So another one of us would be focusing on just pushing out things for our team, really emphasizing why they should work with us, staying on top of mind, because I mean, I feel like we're still fairly new business, so we still have to be out there, putting our brand out there. And then the other one really like keeps us going with the vision, like where's our aim? Are we on track? What does that look like? A constant reminder, because we could deviate really easily.
Super easy.
One thing we did very well was pivot a lot, but then we didn't realize that was probably not the best thing, because we will change our minds so often. But I would say that our client experience, our expertise, our within, like, as a team, we've probably helped over 400 plus families, which has been amazing. So I would say that.
That's cool. Okay.
And we're bilingual.
Yeah.
Español.
Yeah, for sure. How many bilingual agents do you think are out there? I mean, okay, so Spanish bilingual.
Spanish bilingual. I love that I'm seeing more.
Right.
Yes, but before, when I first started, I feel like there was only like literally a handful.
Right.
Now I'm so glad I see more and more agents.
Yeah. What have you done to spin that as like, as a differentiator, or how have you used that to make sure your business grows and more people are helped by good agents?
Yeah. I feel like, to begin with, when I first started, my clientele was all the Latino community. I would say like 90% of my business was Latino community. So I really hit a lot of like, we would go leave flyers to the grocery stores. We would partner up with tax accountants. We would do a lot of video, just educational stuff, because there wasn't a lot of that. There was a lot of like the buyer seminars, the selling seminars, stuff like that. I was really involved in the community, and I think that has helped me grow much more that side of the business.
Are you still doing it?
Yeah.
That stuff? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're still doing that. We're amping up our social media presence when it comes to videos, more educational videos, because I think that's what's missing in our community. There's not a lot of information out there.
Yeah, no, there's not.
No.
What kind of information are you guys like planning? Like just about the communities or about the home buying, selling process? What's that look like?
Yeah, I think a lot more of like, they don't really know, or a majority of our community doesn't know what they need, or they don't think they qualify, or there's still that. It's like the same myths as like the 20% down.
Yeah.
We also have different programs available for our Latino community. Not everyone has a social security number, so there's options for I-10, and who are those lenders, who are the best partners. And so all that information, I think, is key. And sometimes they, at least for me, I resonate when I see somebody else that looks like me doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think if we can get more of that out there.
Yeah, for sure. What's a struggle that what's a hurdle you guys are trying to get over right now as a team?
A hurdle.
Like, what's your biggest like pain point? So like, while you think about that, I'm starting a team also, right?
Okay.
And I was super against a team for a long time, because I was like, I don't want to babysit people. I just want, my definition is, I just want killers. I just want to be around high producing agents. I do not want to babysit people.
Yep.
And so I was stuck on that for a long time.
Yes.
And then I saw my business and I was like, there's so much low hanging fruit here that I'm doing good service for my current clients, but there are leads that come from those, like listings in general. I'm like, I'm not doing the things that get leads from listings. So like having an agent on board. So then I went down the rabbit hole and I realized teams are really beneficial for the majority of agents.
Yes.
And I didn't believe that until I honestly just studied it.
I'm glad, because I remember we had a conversation at what event it was?
I don't remember.
And you had mentioned about I don't know about teams.
Yep. Yeah. I did a deep dive for about 2 months. I studied like just obnoxious amount about teams and the process and the why. So anyway, that was one hurdle that I had to get over. Like, it was a limiting belief.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it like, yes, you should make more, right? And that you're doing more work, you're putting more risk in. But really it's a efficiency and maximizing the something already in front of you. You might as well just tap into that.
Right. You know what? You bring that up, and I think it's something very similar that we went through, because when we first decided to come together, we're like, we don't want no weenie agents. Like, we want agents that, hey, as long as, even if they're new, as long as they have the drive, they're resourceful, they, you know, if they need help, they come and ask us for help. And it was tough because we had a lot of new agents that were like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so we brought a combination of both. And that was hard because it was like you had these agents that were self-driven. They wanted to be surrounded by top producing agents. And then you had the new agents that were like trying to get up there. Like, it was just an uneven balance. And I think we had, you know, challenges with that. And we've been kind of going back about like we want to be surrounded by also top producing agents and build this community around like those individuals that do have the drive, that want to continue. And so I think that has been our biggest thing. We've built systems around like hand-holding agents when that's not who we really are. We want agents that are like, hey, we'll help you, but if I tell you how to do this and we show you a plan, we have a game plan, we have the auto plans, everything, and you follow it, you're going to get there. So those are the type of agents that we want.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Was that your hurdle? Like, that's
self-realizing? Because we wanted agents to be like us, and we're like, wait, no one's going to do everything the same that we do. As long as they're able to do it 70% of what you're doing, then that'd be enough.
Well, it's also, gosh, I can't think of, I want to say it's Gary Vaynerchuk that always says, like, you can't hire an employee and expect them to work as hard as you do.
Right.
They don't own the freaking company.
Yeah.
They ain't going to work as hard as you.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, a limiting belief that I've like had to work through. But yeah. So anyway,
I think also I was going to say, like, you just the culture too, you know, that could be.
What's that mean? Culture is a tough word for me.
You're right. Culture, I would say, like, what type of culture do you want your team to be, you know? And I think we all had probably 3 different ways of seeing culture, and we were showing it differently. And so it was like, it wasn't aligned. And so I think now, like, this year has gotten so much better of how we want to grow, what the aim is, and everything.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fun. Anything, I think you answered all my questions.
Nice.
Is there anything else that you want to tell the agent and lender world in Des Moines of, like, what advice would you give? Or I had an agent on, I don't know, a couple episodes ago, and we talked about like a new agent coming on, and she's like, I don't know if I'd get into this business if I was starting out brand new. Oh. And I was like, that's mind blowing to me. Because I love it. Before this, I had a listing appointment, and I tried to tell her that she should become an agent. I was like, you know, like, yes, you're not going to be able to become an agent by the time we list the property, but like, you don't, like, it's a great job if you just work hard and do it.
Yes.
So
what advice? I think I would say, like, I feel like a lot of agents I have ran into and worked, I feel like take the client as just a transaction, not like this is like their life, you know, this is their family, their future. So I would say, like, if we can all run our business based on, like, hey, we're helping clients, like, at the end of the day, what's best for them, not what's best for your pocket, I think would be huge. And having that mindset, I think, would make real estate in our world, even changes, you know, much more easier to handle. Because I know there has been so much, even with the whole changes and everyone like freaking out or just not understanding, but just being open to, like, at the end of the day, it seems like it's what is best for the client as well.
Well, there's a caveat to that, right? So it's what's best for the client, but you still have to be paid, right? And you still have a business. Because what's best for the client is them to not pay us at all, right?
And yes,
but you have to get a service, right? You're getting a service. There's something. So, is it? I guess I don't.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like money is only an issue when there's an absence
of value.
Yeah. So I think it's like us as realtors. What do we need to go back to? Why are they not wanting to pay us?
Yes.
You know, what's missing there?
Yes. How does that? But you see other agents struggle with that where is the pull on that? Where is it that clients are like, I don't want to pay for that because the agent, or an agent that's, has commission breath,
Yeah.
right? Like, what is it? Where do you see that in agents most?
Where do I see that in agents most?
Like them not acting in the best of their client's interest.
Mm.
And is it intentional, or is it they're just uneducated?
I feel like there's always an emotion tied to an action, right? So I think like a part of me is like they probably don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's also another lack of like financial literacy as an entrepreneur, even as realtors, that I feel like why would people have why would agents have commission breath? Why do they really need this deal? What's going on? Is it they're not, understanding how to do their finances? Are they not lead generating to produce a good funnel where they don't have that? So I go back to like what's missing, what do they, don't know? And I think about
The base, the core.
Yeah.
The very base of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Your basic needs are not met.
Exactly.
So you need the top to happen first.
Right. And if you keep focusing on money, you need this money, like money is going to come and go. Like what type of relationship do you have with money?
Yeah.
See it.
Where did you get so financially astute on that aspect? Yeah, that's a rare real estate agent quality.
Oh gosh, I feel like going back to the self-development, like why one is just I had to do it. I didn't know. Like my first year of real estate, I probably made maybe like 75K or something. Ask me where that money was at the end of the year. I had no idea. I was like, I made that much? Like my bank account is not showing that. And then when taxes came along, I was like, wait, I have to pay taxes? Like what is I thought it was just deducted, So it was a lot of learning, going through like pains, and then also just educating myself on that. But through some mentors, and even one of the things that we have with our EXP partners is classes or online classes, and so they talk about all of that and books to read and how to really understand the power of energy and the power of money and how to understand all of that. So just been reading.
Fun. Personal development.
Exactly.
How have you known when you do decide to dig into something personal development? Like what is it the trigger that pulled it? Is it someone telling you? Is it self-realization to like go study that thing?
Yeah, I think it's both. I've been so much more aware of like what triggers me sometimes, because I feel like I'm such an emotional person, and in business you can't like mix business with emotion. So really understanding like, okay, something's not working here. Like what do I need to do? What do I need to learn more of to understand it better? And then grow from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll wrap this up.
Thank you.
Is there if any agents want to join your team, or you want to, have a conversation with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yes, they can reach out. We are looking to expand our team. So reach out to us. My phone number is 515-423-4463, or just follow me on Instagram or TikTok.
Are those your two favorite socials?
Yes.
Are you digging into any other socials, any other media platforms?
I heard YouTube.
Yeah?
Should I?
Well, I'm a big fan, but
no.
I've been building it for 3 years. So it's kind of like,
no, I'm loving like the vlogs and stuff of like the lifestyle and everyday thing. So, but right now Instagram I think is what I love, and TikTok is for fun, but also business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
I appreciate it. If anyone wants to follow her, go ahead and do it. And then we will wrap this up. We'll see you on the next transaction.
Thank you.
Thank you.